I was being spewed out of a windward station one evening, coming home from work, and a little flash of color caught my right eye, and I turned and looked, and there was Upendra. He had a dhoti and kurta, and he was wearing a turban, so I didn't see the shaven head right away.
I first met not Upendra but Bali Mardan, which was at the beginning of January, I think 1970, or just after he had arrived, when he was chanting in the King's Cross at the Element Fountain. And he instilled in me first the message that chanting Hare Krishna would free you from anxiety. And I had enough anxiety to take it up.
So my brother and I, and my best friend and his brother, we all wanted to go to this Kung Fu movie, but it was totally sold out. So I said, well, you know, there is something else we could do. I met this rather strange guy, and he said, why not come to a love feast? So none of us really knew what a love feast was, you know, we're only like 12 years old or something. But, you know, it was interesting, so.
Well, my father was working in the city. He was coming out of Wynyard Station, and he bumped into a devotee whose name was Upendra. Upendra was wearing his yellow dhoti, yellow kurta, and a turban, and handed my father a leaflet explaining a little bit about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, a single-sided piece of paper, and asked my father for 20 cents. My father was very shocked that he had to pay 20 cents for a piece of paper. Nevertheless, my father brought home this piece of paper and gave it to me. And that was my first introduction to the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Another time I was attending one youth group that I attended, and they had changed addresses unbeknownst to me. So when I came to the place where the meetings were normally held, it was deserted. There was nothing in the room except for one solitary Back to Godhead magazine, brand new, mint condition, that was lying in the centre of the floor. So there was my first piece of literature, handed to me by nobody.
So then after the kirtan, I found Shamananda, and I spoke to him, and I told him I've been reading the books, and I've becoming interested in Krishna consciousness. And he said, but do you chant? And I said, no, I don't chant, I just read the book. He said, you have to chant like that. And he also was he was very, very, and still today is a famous big wave surfer from Torquay. He's actually the artistic director of Rip Curl and Quicksilver. He's very, very famous in the surfing world internationally, like that. So he told me, he said, oh, chanting Hare Krishna is better than surfing perfect bells at 10 foot. And I thought, wow, nothing can beat surfing bells at 10 foot, you know, it must be good. So that night I left, I went back to all my friends, and they were all intoxicated, and I just got up and I hopped in the car and I drove off. And I went back to Wangara and there was no surf. So for 2 weeks I just walked up and down the beach chanting Hare Krishna.
I approached him, and he said love of God is like a seed that's in the heart of every living being. But in America we're so focused on the externals, the mechanical world, that neither we're interested, neither have we discovered the technology of awakening the soul. And he said chanting the names of God is a way of watering the soul, causing it to germinate, fructify, and ultimately produce the fruit of love of God.